Uncanny Valley is a side-scrolling pixel art horror game with a story that unravels itself through exploration and multiple playthroughs. Atmosphere. On my first playthrough, Uncanny Valley was full of mystery and anticipation. The game grants you a lot of freedom, and it feels like deviating from what you're meant to do could lead to dire consequences. Unfortunately, not much I did in my time playing Uncanny Valley felt like it changed anything in terms of the story. The story itself is designed for the player to discover more each time they play through the game, which leads to things becoming stale after the first two playthroughs. By my fourth time I played through the game, I didn't feel much of anything in terms of atmosphere, and was just in a rush to find something new. No Harry Masons. Scares. Whilst there's a few scary moments near the start where the player character Tom is swarmed by these shadowy figures in his house, it loses all impact the second time around. In my opinion, there's not much to be afraid of besides of some dream sequences and stealth sections until the second half of the game, where you're thrown in the deep end every time. But that rush of trying to figure stuff out before you die can be pretty intense. Unfortunately, the way the game is designed tends to render the scary moments impotent after the first time you play. That's still no Harry Masons. Sound design. There are some interesting sound effects and cool low bitrate music that plays tones like the original Silent Hill, but it's not as emotive as that. The weird crystal clear voice acting that's occasionally used is really jarring in a land of text boxes and pixels, and it oddly works in the game's favour. That's one Harry Mason. Gore. There's a lot of pixelated gore and it's quite unsettling to see. You can tell what's happening, but you can't really see what's happening. That's two Harry Masons.
Come here. Come here.
Story. You play as a guy called Tom who has left the city in an attempt to escape his past and join a company as a night watch guard. Through the 5 or so playthroughs I've had of this game over the years, I've pretty much met the same end nearly every time. No matter how far I seem to deviate from the routine, I read a lot of terminals, opened a lot of doors, and saw a wide variety of dream sequences to fill in Tom's past, but it didn't ever seem to make his future change no matter what I did. Things always panned out the same way. The ending that I received was sufficiently gory but ultimately unsatisfying. It left a lot to the imagination. I'm sure other people would fare better, but my personal experience of the story in this game was particularly bad, making the final score 2 out of 5 Harry Masons. I can't help but feel a longer and more linear story would have made for a better horror game. Pushing the player into tedious experimentation just to figure out a better ending wasn't much fun. Horror as a genre works better on fear of the unknown and surprising players. Being forced to go through the same events over and over turns the extraordinary into the boring, and that's why my opinion of this game is kind of poor. Again, I'd like to remind you this whole thing is down to my opinion in horror games, and if you don't share this opinion, then that's cool, I get it. I'd like to point out that whilst I was very let down by the experience, I did not scream like a banshee or run away from the computer, and I advise you don't either. There will be more horror reviews in the pipeline, and thanks for watching. And always go check out Bumps in the Middle of the Night. Peace.